Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Thank you very much for watching.
Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's May 11th of 2022. Got a little bit of news. I didn't write anything down here. I don't think I bookmarked a page, so I just have to try to remember what it is I wanted to mention. One thing, I returned the, let me pull that up, let's see, that would be Amazon, and that would be orders. Okay, I returned the Umdigi Bison X10 Pro rugged cell phone because I could not get it to use a SD card, and otherwise I would have kept it. Probably didn't need all those extra, rugged things that it did, and the things, the other things that were, built into it, the level, the angle, and what else? All those type of things. But I tried a 128 gig SD card that I had used in other cell phones, and it wouldn't work. It would say that it wasn't formatted or something. I would format it, it would say, okay, done. And then when I would try to use it, like just going to the camera, when I would go to the camera, thing would pop up and say, that not formatted or not recognized or something like that. And so I messed with it a little bit, more than a little bit, and I got some help from a couple people that left comments, try this, or you have to do this in order to, and I returned it. This is the first time I've used, before when I've returned an item, I've printed out a label here and returned it, or sometimes Amazon would send me or have the UPS or FedEx or whatever it was come to the door, and I just have to give them the box, and they would have the label, and but various ways. This time, one of the options was, it's been that way before, but I've never used it, where you can take it to various places, and they'll ship it out, for you. You have to print up the label and everything yourself, but well, maybe they do. Maybe they also, some of them would offer, but one of the choices, which was 6 miles from here, I believe it was, which took about 13 minutes to get to. Hillary my daughter drove me out there, and it was to a Lowe's store, and that's, I think that's the first time that I know of. Well, I work a couple of different places in Overland Park, Kansas for a while as a part-time job, part-time security job. I worked full-time hospital security, part-time contract security, and so I was at in Overland Park, Kansas, at a shopping mall. I was working there, and then when I was in Miami, I worked at the Dadeland Mall shopping center. So I am familiar with, but well, I guess Lowe's, I don't think that they, maybe they do, I don't know. But this was a freestanding store, and as far as I know, it was the first time I've been in a Lowe's. And it was really nice. White aisles, everybody looked, it didn't look like Walmart when you go in Walmart. And by the way, I'm a Walmart shopper. But the material was just, everything was, but you go there, and which I did. I took this, and the thing was, you don't wrap this up. Oh, wait a minute, you don't see that on. I gotta keep remembering. Okay. Nope. Here. Okay, I'm sorry. You don't wrap it up, or you just, the way, you don't put a shipping, but just take it to them. In the box that you got it in and everything. And you walk in, and, well, of course, online, I did it, and then I printed out the barcode or whatever it was and took that. So went in there, went back, nobody was lined up, and they just took it, printed me out a receipt that said that with that, forget what it was. Well, wait a minute, I think it might be right here. Is this it? That is not it. I don't know where it is, but said that you'd get money would be credited to your account or whatever within 24 hours. And right away, just a few hours later after I got back home, it showed that it hasn't showed up in my, well, I didn't put it in the bank, the refund. I said to add it to my credit or whatever with Amazon, because I'll be buying something, so the money will be going there. Okay, what else? That's one. I think I'm done with that for now. But I did want to tell you, because I'm not sure I recommended it, but I did blog about this and show links to it and everything. So, buyer beware. When I return something, I try to remember, and I don't return things very often, I don't think. I got a feeling a lot of people return a lot of stuff. But I mean, they sort of encourage it, if you have a problem, return it. And I did try with them, one of the choices was, do you want, the company to help? And I clicked OK, and the guy popped up in a chat thing. And I told him what the problem was, and he said, well, let me check, see if I can find out why. And then he came back after a couple minutes and said, well, I don't know. And I don't think he knew very much, if anything. I think maybe his only job was to say, let me check and then refer you to the next step, which the company's next step was someone will contact you within a couple days. And I said, well, thank you very much, but never mind. And then I just initiated, went to the Amazon. Ouch. Sharp pain. Oh, that reminds me of my next, maybe that was a prompt for that. Okay, forgetting about the I went to the doctor, that would be yesterday now, and I've ended up with, actually it's physician assistant, but that's fine. The medical clinic that I go to, or whatever, there's a, a doctor, an MD that's in charge of it, and then he has about 3 or 4 physician assistants. And I actually like them better than I like the doctor. One thing, the doctor lied to me. I'm not like Trump followers or whatever. Trump can lie every day to them, and they love him. If somebody lies to me, that's sort of, I'm not going to trust the person. I'm not going to like the person. And the first time I went to the doctor, I wasn't real impressed with him. But then the second time that I went back, he lied to me. The first time I went there, because he was a new doctor and everything, I just said, just write me the prescriptions and I'll take it to, Walgreens. And he did, I believe. And then the second time I went, I said the same thing, and he said, no, I can't do that. That's against the law. It has to be, I have to fax it in to him. And I thought, no, you don't. And that, number one, strike number one. The other thing, and I had seen him quite a few times of course I had him, I set it up to, okay, fax all my stuff to the, the pharmacy. Oh, the other thing was, my lab work, I was borderline diabetic, and had been that for several years. When I was in Florida, the numbers, I forget what the numbers were, but they were like 5 or 10 points below, 5 or 10 more points on my blood sugar or whatever, and then I would be officially a diabetic. So, but anyway, when I went to, him, and when he got the blood work, it was like, let me give you my full acting ability or whatever. It was like, you're almost diabetic. And I, well, okay, maybe that was just, maybe he had gas pains or something or other. I don't know, but I went back, and next time he did lab work, he probably didn't do it every 6 months, because I was seeing him every 6 months, the lab work. But every time I went and had lab work done, he was like, oh, you're so close to being diabetic, And then finally, and of course, stupidity on my part. I mean, for several years, I don't know how long, I can't remember. I mean, when I was in Florida, I was, they called it actually something a little bit different, I forget. When I was diabetic, what would be, and it was something else, I forget what they called that. That was when you were almost diabetic. But so I had years of, changing my diet, doing whatever it took, and I just kept, you see me here guzzling Cokes, right? And I had plenty of warning, like, well, with my swollen feet and other things. And then when I went for 2 weeks and you're never going to see my feet unless I drop the camera or something. I mean, they're gross. And I can't fit in regular shoes. I think I did a little video on that, I'm not even sure what these things are that I got. It's for people that have some type of foot problem. I'm not sure what, but part of the problem is I can barely reach my feet. I can barely reach my feet because I'm a fat slob. And my blood pressure shoots up like crazy, just bending over trying to get to my feet to get shoes on, or even pants are difficult to get on. But I went to Washington, D.C. There's videos here. You can see them. Me and being in Washington, D.C. for 2 weeks. My oldest daughter and her husband, invited me there for 2 weeks and showed me around Washington, D.C. And I was having a little bit of trouble, getting around, but I was able. Every other day we went out and, walked, through the museums and that type of stuff. Worked out for about 3.5 hours. And that was about all I could take. I'd say that's it for the day. So every other day for the 2 weeks that I was there, we went out and I walked 3.5 hours. And I ate their food, vegetarian food. There was once or twice that we ordered in pizza. They knew what kind of pizza that they wanted, that they would eat. That was, and then I got a regular pizza or something, But then once they lived at that point a few blocks away from a shopping mall, and I went over there once. I just said, I'm going to go get some real food, and went over and got Chinese food or something. But other than that, I ate their food. And by the way, when my daughter first became vegetarian and whatever, she was like those people, trying to convince, because, she loved us and didn't want us to die or something. And so when they came to visit us, in Texas and what have you, they would, come with vegetarian hot dogs and stuff like that, which we could not eat. I mean, it was gross. All of it was gross. It was garbage. But they were true believers, And, but what they, and also like when they came to, in fact, one reason they came to, we were in Carrollton then. But that's right next to, Dallas and what have you. So we went to the school book depository. And then they wanted to go over to Fort Worth. And so we went over there, and there was, like on the railroad tracks, there was a place that had, I don't think the tracks were used anymore, I'm not sure. So then it would have been placed next to the tracks, And they had read it, they lived in California at that time. And they had read that this is one of the best, vegetarian places. No, it was not. It wasn't a good eating place, period. Unless you've been brainwashed, I guess. And then when PBS The Documentary was released and had its preview or whatever it was, and in San Jose, California, at the Computer Museum. And at that time I was living in Florida, and so I was a person who came the furthest to get to it. I mean, I had to do that since, I'm kidding now. But when I got there, Jason said, "Oh, Jim," okay, he said, "now, we're showing the premiere here, And of course you are, there's a few things of you in this documentary, but he said the thing is, you got the biggest laugh. I think I actually the only laugh probably. And he says, now, we haven't burned the DVDs yet, that are being sold. And if you object to this thing, then, I'll take that out. And I didn't even I didn't even have to. I said, no, fine, leave it, leave it in. So I did get the biggest laugh. You'll have to watch it which you can see, by the way. Okay, I'll put some links below to it. You can watch it on YouTube, and you can watch it, I believe, at, started to say the Antiques Roadshow. Internet Archives, or whatever it is. That's where it is. Now, by the way, after that DVD set thing, I think it's either 2 or 3 DVDs to cover everything. Jason, the producer and everything that did it, he made it available to people. He announced, you can copy it, you can give it to friends, you can whatever. And of course, all of the ones that he burned, had been sold and everything. But anyway, so I went out there for the show, and I think I said I came the furthest from Florida to California for the preview showing. And while there, LaDonna and her husband Aaron lived in California, and she was in charge of the Greenpeace office. And she'd been in charge of the Greenpeace office before that on the east coast of the United States, I forget. And then before that, she was in Kansas City, Missouri, in charge of the Greenpeace office. Anyway, so when we were out there for the showing, LaDonna and Aaron said, do you want to go to a vegetarian restaurant? And I said, not particularly, but I know you do. And I said, so I'll go along, I'll give it a try. It was gross. But LaDonna and her husband, they ended up in Washington, D.C. area. And that's when I went out there. Well, they were there quite a while, and then I went out there and so LaDonna and Aaron have become proficient at cooking vegetarian food, and I ate all for 2 weeks, except for the 2 occasions, I think, where I snuck. I'm kidding, I didn't sneak out, but they became, the food that they cooked was excellent. So vegetarian food can be good. And then they talked about a place that they really loved in Washington, D.C. area. And they said it's just there, and they said all they serve is vegetarian food. They don't serve anything that's not vegetarian. And I said, oh my God, that's going to be bad, They said, no, it's good. I went there. They each ordered the regular item that when they go there, that they ate. And they had a sampler and that's what I ordered. A little bit of everything. I'm sure it wasn't everything, because they have a lot of things. But I don't know, 6, 7, 8 sampling things or whatever. And every one of them was excellent. That's the best restaurant I've ever eaten in. So that goes to show you that, that vegetarian food can be good. You may have to work at it a little bit, like LaDonna and Aaron, they worked at it. Oh, that's it. Now I'm finally going to get around to the point. Okay, I was there for 2 weeks. When I went there, no, I'm not going to show you my feet. You've probably seen people walking around, maybe in a stroller, maybe with a couple crutches, or with their legs black from no blood circulation, and diabetics or whatever. They say diabetics die from the feet up. So I was there for 2 weeks, and I really wasn't paying any attention. And then I noticed, wow, like right now, this belt is, I got a belt on to keep my pants up, all of a sudden they had scales, I think, in their bathroom or something, but I was in the guest room downstairs or whatever, and with a bathroom down there, and the belt was, wow, but I didn't weigh, but then I noticed finally my feet had gone back to normal. That's almost miraculous. It's unbelievable. And since I came, then when I came back to Carrollton, I think that would have been. Let's see, wait a minute. Yeah, Carrollton, I think. Various doctors, when I had the pacemaker. I'm not sure if that's when I had the first pacemaker put in, or when I know also when I put I told, nursing staff and doctors or whatever, hey, because I'm sold on it. But then I came back, went to my regular, stuff that I eat, and my feet immediately returned to, but if you're a young person, or take care of yourself, and don't do what I did. So I just had. Oh, by the way, at the doctor's office that I was going to, I told you that, the doctor lied to me. The other thing was, finally, I went and had lab work done, and then when I went to see, this is before I ended up switching over to physician's assistant. And he has 3 or 4 working in his office. I'm not sure one of them, I know there was a male there, but then I ended up with a female physician assistant. She was excellent. I think women are better doctors than they, I've thought that for a long time. But, so anyway, I was still with him. And, so he got the lab work. Oh, okay. You are diabetic now. Okay, I'm going to go get you the your stuff. And then he brought back the things you stick yourself with and the things you to read it and the whole thing. And he was overjoyed. He was practically dancing. And undoubtedly, not just him, because after that there was some type of ruling made that doctors couldn't, I forget exactly how the ruling was made, but because you've been at a doctor's office in the United States, you come in, you give them the information, you sit down, and then somebody comes in like with a briefcase or something like that, waves to the staff there at at the desk, and they go on in the door, or they push the button to let them in the door, and they go on back, and then you'll be back there. Maybe they come and take you to go to your room, and the person from the pharmaceutical company will be there, opening up their briefcase or whatever and giving the doctor, the pills, or here's the stuff, you're really going to like this, telling the doctor. Not like it because you're going to take it, the doctor's going to take it, but you're going to like this. They don't say it, but because of the money. And I'm not sure exactly what all came out, but it came out that, the doctor signs up a new diabetic patient, and then there's multiple choices of, because you're sticking yourself every day and using all this stuff. So the doctors got benefits or whatever, and probably it must have been here. I can show you. Probably the fax machine was automatically set up that when you scanned a thing that you were signing somebody up for, it probably went to the company that manufactured it, and okay, signed up 10 people, okay, we'll contact Dr. So-and-so and let him know that him and his wife can be going to free of charge to Hawaii for, that's exactly, I don't know if that goes on in the EU. I think it may just be an American thing. Well, not a Canadian thing, Probably not even a Mexican thing, a United States thing, And so anyway, the doctor was overjoyed. So I ended up getting switched over. I think I called for an appointment, and they said, well, Dr. So-and-so is not available. Would you like to see somebody else? And I said, well, yeah. So they hooked me up with a female physician assistant, and been going to her for years. And she just recently, she's left now. She had a couple. In fact, I was there when I was there when she was pregnant, and then when she had her first, and second child and everything. So she went to a place where she could be closer to home and whatever. So I got a new physician assistant. Well, that's the one. I got her, and I forget how many years I had her. And now this, when I went the other yesterday, they hooked me up with a new physician assistant, and I haven't paid any attention. I never paid any attention to their names. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? I mean, but she's been there 7 years. I thought maybe she was kind of new, but she's been there 7 because I never paid any attention to the business cards that they had out. That reminds me, I better make sure I've got her card in my billfold. I better make sure that and I have an appointment in 6 months. Oh, okay. New subject, sort of. I had it had been a year since I actually, over a year, went to the doctor. Uh, I should go every 6 months, and I needed to go every 6 months, but I didn't. Long story. I think I might have mentioned it, so I won't go over that again. But so I had lab work done. You may remember I've talked about it in the past that uh, I didn't have the best lab work. It was okay. And of course, I was diabetic, but it was okay. Some things were high, cholesterol was high. Uh, what else? But then I scratched my leg on the metal thing that holds my bed up, and it got infected. You know, one thing it was hard for me to see my legs, but it got badly infected, and I took an Uber to the emergency room, and then I went in, and when they came to check me out, they said, "Did you get here? Did you come by ambulance?" I said, "No, I took an Uber." They said, "You took an Uber?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "Well, you're going to be admitted." So I was there for 6 days. I'm not going to go into detail except I could not eat anything. I mean, I could eat. They want me to eat. They're supposed to monitor how much you eat and drink and everything else. I just couldn't eat anything. And I tried like a spoon, the little tiny things that they have Jello in. I took a spoonful of that, which that's about all they let you have. And I couldn't. I was just going to be nauseated, and whatever. Hillary and my grandson even showed up. I must have thought I was on deathbed, because I very rarely see him because he's doing computer gaming all the time. He's grown, of course, They brought me, McDonald's or something like that. I was there for 6 days without eating, and I don't think the staff noticed. And they, started an IV on me. I've always had, I worked hospital security for 30 years. And during that time, the nurses would say, "Wow, you've got great veins," and whatever. In fact, one time there was an LPN, and I think I mentioned this just the other day. There was an LPN, an elderly LPN, and they were really switching over. There was ER doctor, RN, and then an LPN. But the hospital was going to not do away with the LPN. Maybe the LPN would not work, probably work in the emergency room. And they were going to have 2 RNs. But anyway, this elderly nurse, a real nice nurse, so they had to upgrade to senior. And I think the only thing they had to do, I believe, was do like 6 starting of IVs, and then they would be a senior LPN or something like that. Maybe there was something else they had to do, I don't know. So we were there one night in the emergency. I was working hospital security, and the RN said to the LPN, "Have you got the IVs yet? All that you need, 6 of them or something like that." They had to do 6. And then, of course, all the RN had to do was say to the LPN, when somebody needed an IV, say, okay, you do it. And, stand there and watch and, offer a little assistance or something if needed. But they really, you know. So anyway, a nice lady. And so the RN said, if you got your, and the LPN said, no, I just need one more. And then, the RN said, well, you better get it, And so then I said, to the RN, I said, Diane, does it have to be a patient that she's, starts the IV on? Or could it be just anybody? And, the nurse said, Diane said, it could be just anybody. And I said, okay. I put my arm out, and, Diane, the RN, something like, really? I said, yeah. Have her started on me. So I put my arm out. The LPN came over and started it, and then so she was, So, but anyway, where was? Oh, I was in the hospital with my infected leg, and then for some reason my great. By that time, my great veins or whatever have disappeared. I guess because I'm a fat slob. And in the emergency room, a very nice RN tried to get, didn't work. Tried a second time, didn't work. Tried a third time, didn't work. And I knew that usually, and I think she even tried, like I said, she said, I said, well, try again. So I think she tried, then she said, oop. So she called in some guy. I don't know whether he was an RN or probably an RN, He came and he stuck me 2 or 3 times. And then she came back in, and then she stuck me, right away, and got it. But then they had to, of course, and they were good. I mean, they were good people, and it's a good hospital. Well, except I'm going to get to something that's not a good hospital. If any of you people, by the way, it's been years ago, but if we ought to get a group together and take on a cause, and let me get to that later, unless I forget. So anyway, the nurse then needed in the ER some blood to go, to be checked, and they didn't take that out of like the the IV thing, of course. So she stuck me, and she got she got right away the blood, and then in the hospital, throughout the hospital. In fact, I have a little container here. I haven't checked my blood in a long time. Sort of a reason for that, but I won't go into that too. But anyway, she got the blood, and then she went over to the container they have there where you put in syringes and other things that are to be disposed of as hazardous material, or whatever. It costs the hospitals, by the way, a lot of money to dispose of that stuff, because that just doesn't go in the regular trash, It has to be picked up by a special, trash service or whatever that takes it to a special place and all that kind of stuff. The reason I know that is because that's one of the things that you wouldn't realize how much security has to do, hospital security. One of the things to make sure that, I don't think I ever had a problem of a nurse or somebody not putting something into the container when it needed to go in there. The problem was there was like in the closet or whatever, a big container that bigger items had to go into. And you'd have a nurse or somebody who they'd ordered in pizza and would throw in, the pizza box or whatever. And I had to tell, especially a couple, different people, no, that doesn't go into, infection control or what. And then I had one nurse who had worked at the hospital a long time, longer than I had worked there, and I ended up actually working 18 years I worked 30 years hospital security, and I spent 18 years and I don't, multiple hospitals in the list of companies that this, corporation owned. But anyway, I told her, I said, nicely, by the way, that doesn't go in there. Oh, yes, it does. And I said, no, it costs, I forget, I knew how much it was. I forget how much it was. I forget how much now it was. But it's an astronomical sum of money. $18 a pound, or I forget what it was, to dispose of this stuff. And I said, no, that costs X amount of money for that, and that costs the hospital a lot of money. And that's one of our jobs is, to check, on that. And she said, so I actually wrote her up. And, I worked at that small hospital. That was a small hospital. And I worked there 10 years. And I think I only wrote up like 2 nurses, and she was one of them. And she got informed and told, no, you don't put pizza boxes in there and listen to security, Okay, I got sidetracked. So now I don't remember. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, back to, the nurse drew the blood, and she went over to the container and she threw her sample that she took in there. And of course she couldn't take it back out. And she said, "Oh, Mr. Howard, I'm so sorry." I said, "Oh, no, those things like that happen." I said, "Don't worry about it." And so then she, drew blood again. And jokingly, I said, "Do you want me to hold that blood while you throw the other stuff in the, And she laughed, And, but anyway, so then I got, taken up to the floor. And of course they had to put a catheter in me. I'd had one catheter done in my life before that, and that was in Miami when they when I had to write down how much I, measure my piss for like 24 hours or something, and how much when I did it, and how much, and then when I went to the hospital, and I pissed when I got to the hospital, because I was pissing like every 15 minutes. I mean, with excruciating pain. I'd urinate, and then 15 minutes later, or maybe 30 minutes later, I'd get the signal that I had to, that I need to take a leak. And I would then go, well, right away I would be in pain. I mean, God, tears. And then I would go and then write it down. But anyway, then I had to go to the hospital with my list of things. When I got to the hospital, I availed myself of their restroom. Went there, and I knew it was going to be bad. Well, I knew that it was going to be bad. I'd never had a catheter put in me, but one of the things that security officers do at hospitals is hold some guy down when he's having a catheter put in him. And if I had $1 for every guy I held down that was having a catheter put in him, I could have bought a very, very top of the line, probably computer. We're talking whatever top of the line would be, something like that. I've held down a lot. And so I knew it was going to be painful. And I knew too also because when I went in there was two, I'm not sure if they were nurses or technicians. Probably, maybe one was a nurse and the other a technician. But I came in and then I thought I was being made a king or something. They had like a throne that went up above them. They were at eye level with my junk, and then they had a television up in the corner, which I don't even think was on. But when they got me up there, they handed me the remote control, and I knew, the reason for the remote control was so that I wouldn't hit them, that I would throw the remote control. Probably had no batteries in it. They figured I would be bouncing it off the wall or doing something. They had me up there and I thought, this is going to hurt. And so they said, they looked at the numbers and kind of chuckled, my paperwork, And they said, okay, well, is your bladder? I said, I urinated when I got here, Oh, okay. And no, they were nice ladies. If I'm doing my little giggle or something, that's not because that they did that, but. So then, it hurts. And I cussed, God damn, but I didn't throw anything or break anything or whatever. And remember that I had just emptied my bladder, And they said, so your bladder was empty? And I said, well, yeah, I urinated, And then, it was filled up, So I still have that problem. Well, not the crying every 30 minutes or whatever, but sometimes I've even gone a few hours sometimes. I try to control, but so when I ended up in Fort Worth, I went in with the infected leg, and then I got up. They said, we need to start a catheter on you. And I thought, oh, God, okay. So they did, and it was like, oh, damn it, ouch, And then it also hurts, of course. Not as bad, but when they take it out. Anyway, the nurse stuck me, and the bag was filling with blood. And the nurse said, I must have nicked your prostate or whatever, but I think some, urine is going in there. And I said, yeah, I didn't think, I knew it was just blood, I think you're right, yeah, I think so, the next day, she came in, and then, of course, she said, I have to take the catheter out and put a new one in you. Okay, And so, pain and then pain. And then for 6 days I had the bag that I had to, And so I didn't have anything to eat for 6 days. And So then I hadn't seen. I think a urologist had come in once, and I don't think I even knew he was a urologist till he went out the door or something. I think he just came by and hello, and he left. But then they said, well, you're going to be going home tomorrow, and I wasn't much better, and so the urologist said, okay, well, and I said, doctor, where's your office? And he said, it's in West Fort Worth. And I said, I'm in West Fort Worth. I said, will you be my doctor? And he says, yes, Mr. Howard. And I said, great, I'll be seeing you after I get, And then he said, oh, okay. He says, do you want to go home with your catheter in, or do you want to, have it out? And then I thought, okay, this is an important question. I was thinking to myself, and I said, I want it out. And he said, okay. Told the nurse to take it out. So I don't know how long it was. They took it out. Ouch. And then they're checking, my output, which I really didn't have any output. And she said, we're going to have to call the urologist and have a catheter put back in you. And I said, no catheter. And she said, oh, well, and I said, no catheter. And then, she was like, well, yep. And I said, I don't understand, because I'm taking a diuretic, I could say it then, water pill. And she said, oh, no, we stopped giving that to you, X number of days ago or something. And I said, I didn't know that. Maybe they called it something, I don't know, And I said, well, put me back on it and forget about, no, that would kill you. I said, I'd rather be killed than to have another catheter put in me. Oh, no, I said, well, call the urologist, She came back and she said, no, the urologist says you have to have the catheter put in you, and that taking the water pills or whatever that would kill you. And I said, call another urologist. I knew that wouldn't work. And in a little bit, the nurse came back. She didn't call the urologist. She didn't call a second. She came back and she said, yeah, the doctor said, no, you can't take that, the water pills. It'd be dangerous to you, and whatever. And I forget what else she said. And I said, I tell you what, I'm going to be leaving the hospital, AMA, against medical advice. And she, oh, you shouldn't, and then she actually called my daughter in Washington, D.C., and a little bit the nurse came and said, I've got your daughter on the telephone. And so LaDonna said, Dad, you really should stay, and let them do what they, and I said, nope, I'm going home. And LaDonna said, well, I knew you'd say that. So the nurse comes in and says, okay, well, you're going to AMA and everything. And I said, I just need two things. One, they started to give me an IV, or inject a thing into my IV, and I knew the nurse who was doing it, she had the IV to go in, and thank God she was doing it slow push, but she had in her other hand, she had the thing to counter that. She didn't tell me that, but I just knew that. And so she started slow push, but thank God for that. And I said, stop, stop. And she said, "Hey, you having a," I said, yes. Of course, she stopped pushing right away. I said, yes. And by the way, I have a thing about vomiting. I mean, a terror. I mean, because I choked years and years ago when, I forget which one, we had a couple years where the flu came through. What was it called? That was bad. And I don't like vomiting, and long story, like my wife would be like, oh, my stomach, she'd say, well, my stomach, and then she'd vomit, oh, I feel so much better, well, no problem for me. I would try not to vomit, and which caused me to, well, that's not a way you want to, you want to die. Oh, my father died on his, aspirated on his vomit or whatever. They'd probably figure I was a drug user or an alcoholic or something. But, so the first year I did, and then when the second year came around, I got the same virus, part 2 or something or other, and then, wow, just, I'm laying there thinking, please, I don't want to vomit, please, I don't want to vomit, and then eventually I had to vomit, and I asked, I was like, not able to breathe, because I was trying, and I know probably most of you out there was, well, just vomit. Well, no, I just, I wouldn't have been good to be in like I wanted to be in the military, when I got out of high school. I wouldn't have been good if they'd, well, it wouldn't have been good for a number of reasons, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that I had a problem with authority, because I never really had to deal with authority. I mean, working as a welder, well, maybe when I worked for the post office for a little bit, that might have been a problem because I quit. But I didn't know that. But the other thing I didn't know was about, all the enemy would have to do is, capture me. And they wouldn't have had to do torture or whatever. They could just put their hand over my mouth and my nose or something like that. They wouldn't have to pull me like they did, what's his name? The Republican from Arizona. They wouldn't have had to torture me like that. All they would just have to do is make it where I couldn't breathe for a few seconds. And I'll sign it. I will sign anything you want me to sign. That, the United States is deliberately, bombing Vietnamese children, and I'll make broadcasts for you on CNN, denouncing that, I wouldn't have been good in the military. But, so, back to the hospital. So I said, I need just 2 things. One, I said, I'm leaving AMA. And of course, no, you don't want to, And I said, I need the name of that medication that they tried, you tried to do IV on me. I said to make sure I never get that again. And then the other thing is, I need the name of the medication that you're giving me for the infection in my leg that is so bad. And then the nurse said, well, no, we won't give you anything. And I said, what? Now, by the way, I'd been worked hospital security for 30 years. And a major part of the duties of a hospital security officer was, I don't know how many times I don't know how many times I held men down where they had a catheter put in them. And I guess that's God's way of getting back at me for that. And the other thing, I don't know how many times somebody was insisting that they were going to leave AMA, and security would be called, and I would have to tell people, I would have to ask the nurse some questions and find out whether this person can leave, you know. And then sometimes the nurses would be, you know, saying they can't leave, and I'd have to tell the nurses, you know, well, this person can, you know, can go. Okay, and all those years, anyway, so the nurse says, we don't give you anything. And I said, what do you mean you don't give me anything? I said, if you leave AMA, we don't give you any paperwork, we don't give you anything. And I was like, what? I've never heard of that. Yeah, that's our policy. That's another thing. So I mean, I never came up against that before, and I came up with a lot of, you know, this psych unit that said, I've been through that. I covered that in the past, so I won't cover it again. You know, the hospital said that this lady couldn't leave. Well, why can't she leave? You know, I asked a question. You know, is she here on court order? Is she is she medicated where she may walk in front of a bus or something like? You know, no. Now, why can't she go? Well, that's her lesbian friend out there on the sidewalk. She's a lesbian. That's her lesbian friend. She can't go with her lesbian friend. No. Then yes, she can. But I had never run it in 30 years of hospital security. So I don't know. This has been a few years ago. I'm still pissed about it. Now, what I was able to do, thank God, was I was set up, and a few years ago you wouldn't be able to do this, but I'm set up, and you can be set up too, with, you know, through your doctor's office, and you know, that I could log in immediately when I got home, and I could log in and then find out what the medicine was that I was getting, and it was a $6,000 medication. I'm not sure if that was $6,000 for the injection each time, or if it was 6,000. I don't know what, you know, don't know what that was, but thank God. And then, by the way, I did come home and I was in bad. I mean, still in bad shape, and not really able to be doing much for myself. And luckily, Hillary, my daughter, took on that duty, and she went to, you know, she called and she went to, you know, the Walgreens and said, my father needs this, and then they said, well, the insurance isn't going to pay for it. And then anyway, I don't know what all she did, but then they decided, yeah, that they would pay for it, and she actually, there was a problem getting it, you know, and stuff, and the Walgreens, I'm not sure if it was the pharmacist or, you know, one of the people at the desk that does, but Hillary actually had, you know, had her crying, not with threats or anything, but just saying, my father, you know, needs this, or he's going to, you know, whatever. So I got the medication that I needed. So have I covered everything? Oh, this is a 1 hour. Oh, no, I've got more to go. So I got my lab work done, and I mentioned on here, I only showed like one page of the 6 or 7 pages of reports. I just showed one. And I think on that front page that I showed, there wasn't anything of, you know, there wasn't anything flagged. But for the rest of the pages there were, and I thought that I'd never had anything flagged like that. Like there was 7 pages or 7 items, you know, on different pages that were marked high and whatever, and then there was, on another page there was 2 or 3 items that were marked low, you know, below the standard or whatever. So I'm not a medical person or anything, but I thought, that's bad. So when I finally got around to going to the doctor, I said, you know, I talked about this that was there a year ago or whatever that they were going to do a scan on, and that now has been matched by over here. And the physician assistant I said, if this is not life-threatening, I'll live with it, as long as it's not going to kill me or something, or disable me where I can't even use my arm. And she asked a question or whatever, and I said, no, it just hurts. Like if I pick up a 12-pack of Coke, it hurts. When I put the pack down, the pain goes away. And then I forget what she said. I wish I'd recorded it so I would, and with Android or whatever, on the cell phone, it gives you, I think, just about an exact, copy. I would have it too. It could pop up on the screen here. But what did she say then? Okay, I forgot. She said, well, I think that's, forget what she said it was. I wish I, but I said, well, I can live with that. And I said, oh, they took my blood pressure about 5 times or 6. And I usually, sometimes they tell me, sometimes I look. I didn't. Wasn't paying any attention, and I said, well, my blood pressure, I guess, is because you people took it 5 or 6 times. I said, got some stuff going on at home that's very, very stressful for everybody. And I said, that may be the reason. And so we moved on from that. And then I said, okay, well, then the only thing left is, I said, I'm concerned about the thing. I've never had things, that marked that stuff or whatever. And then she went through each one of the things with me, and she said, no, this is fine. You're just a little bit above the, the number on this, but that's okay. It's not that bad. And then she said, okay, the things with your kidney and liver and all these things. Because, when I was in the hospital, taking this medication or whatever, and everything was going on. And that was a few years ago. The things were just gradually. She said, no, they come down. They're normal. They're normal and whatever. And then there was one thing, and she said, okay. She says that's improved. It's not, 100%. Okay, but it's okay. And I'm not quoting her exactly, can't remember. But she says, I don't want to give you, everything else is okay. And I don't want to give you any medication because, see, that was the liver, I think. I think that was the liver. She says, your liver, again, if I'm getting this wrong, forgive me because I can't, I'm not, there's multiple parts in the body, and I can't even remember my own name or how old I am, by the way. And she said, I don't want to be giving you any medications that I don't need to give to you and put more strain on your, I think it was a liver, And I said, that sounds good to me. She said, no, you're in good shape. And then she said, let me check your legs. She said, we need probably to get you signed up with, she didn't say maybe, but we need to get you signed up with, and she said some medical name for people, not respiratory therapist technique, not, there was something, and I said, what's that? And she said, oh, they deal with legs, swollen legs and that type of stuff, and they'll put wraps on. She says, they'll even come out to the house and show you, check your legs and show you, what you need to do and everything. And I said, well, it sounds like something I probably do need. And I said, but could we wait on it? I got some stuff going on that's very stressful at home. And she said, yeah. She said, we'll just wait on that. So really I actually got good news in that regard. Just amazing how long I can talk about nothing, right? Oh, no, that there's more. That thing of the hospital not giving you access if you decide to leave AMA against medical advice. That's not right. Now, of course, I got home and right away I could log into my chart and see everything, the medical results, the test and everything. But every 2 years, hospitals here in the United States a team shows up to come into the hospital. Now each year they make slight changes, depending on what they think they need to do that year. Well, they check the hospitals every 2 years. And they have a team that shows up, and the hospital all the hospitals, because I worked in multiple hospitals, they all go fucking crazy getting things ready. For the Joint Commission to come and it's important to the hospital. If the hospital doesn't get a certain standard, probably what they would do is you'd be, okay, you're approved, for this year, but we're coming back next year and doing the whole thing over again because, there was a problem and stuff like that. So the hospitals go bananas. They're shaking their boots, because of the Joint Commission coming. So if the hospitals really are denying somebody, if somebody decides to leave the hospital against the advice of the hospital, well, tough. Yeah, that's our right. And the hospitals need to make sure that even though you're leaving against their advice and whatever, that you're entitled to all your medical information, that they need to give it to you, especially if you're leaving in a situation like that. They need to make sure you know what Medicaid, and I don't know. I don't have that many. I've only got like 3,500 subscribers, but maybe we need to straighten these hospitals out. By the way, if there's anybody in like the UK, how do you handle a patient leaving against medical advice? Anyway, thank you all for watching. Oh, hop, hop, hop.